Bhavishyam Vachimam Prasuttam Sanjeevayatyakira Shaktidharasvadhamna Anyam Sahastacharana Shravana Pradadin Pranam Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Gurum Hisvayam Satyaha Prajna Bhakti Vinjayaha Nitishcharutas Satyam Gurum Pranamanyaham Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kato Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punaha. In the previous section, the last sentence with which Ramaraya ended, which is primarily an introduction to the text, he says, Mayacha atra yeshu yeshu sthaleshu Ramanuja Bhashyasya Vedanta Avirodhaha Shankara Bhashyasya Tad Avirodhaha Tad Ubhayam Samyak Vivichya Pradarsyate. See, Mayacha atra. Atra means in this text. So whatever I am going to do further in this text, Mayacha atra Yeshu Yeshu Sthaleshu. So wherever we find there is a contradiction between what Ramanuja has stated and what is stated in the Shruti. See, Ramanuja Bhashyasya Vedanta Virodhaha Shankara Bhashyasya Tad Avirodhaha. Okay. Tadubhayam Samyak Vivichya Pradarsyate. So this is the promise with which he commences the text. So now what we are going to do is, see, now we are going to take the first discussion. The discussion with which he commences is the meaning of Atha Shabda in the first sutra, which is Athato Brahma Jignasa. Brahma Sutra. So Brahma Sutra, it commences with Athato Brahma Jignasa. So Athato Brahma Jignasa essentially consists of three words: Atha, Ataha, Brahma Jignasa. Brahma Jignasa is a compound word. Athato Brahma Jignasa, so there is a long discussion which is done by Shankaracharya, which is done by every Acharya. And what is the meaning of Atha? What is the meaning of Ataha and Brahma Jignasa? Brahma Jignasa, there is absolutely no contradiction. Okay? So there is no difference of view. So Brahmano Jignasa, Jignasa is Jnatum Ichha, so desire to know. Brahmano Jignasa, Brahma Jignasa, so it just goes on. As far as Atha is concerned, so there is a difference of view. Atha normally means beginning, okay, indicates beginning. Rather, it is a cue to beginning. So that is why we say Atha Dvadashodhyayaha, Atha Trayodashodhyayaha, and so on. Okay, so it marks the end of something and then indicates the beginning of something else. Now, what is being commenced? See, so even in Jaimini, so Athato Dharma Jignasa, so that is what it says. Correct. Atha Yoga Anushasanam. See, so it marks. There are two meanings which are generally given to Atha. One is it marks the commencement of something. The other is Mangala Vachana. See, Omkarascha Atha Shabdascha Dvavethau Brahmanah Pura Kantham Bhitva Vinirjatau Tasman Mangalika Ubhav. So this is what they say. So Omkara and Atha Shabda both are Mangalavachaka Shabdas. So even if you do not mean something after this, okay, so then also, I mean, this Atha Shabda can be employed merely as a Mangalavachana. Now here, this shloka, I think it comes in tradition. I do not know whether it is a part of some text. Yeah, it may be in some Puranas. Okay, now let us see. So how he commences. Atra Atha Shabdasya Anantaryam Arthaha iti Sampratipannam. Sampratipannam means it is accepted in both the schools. Anantaryam means something which is done little later. Anantaryam. Okay. Anantarasya bhavaha anantaryam. So this is acceptable. But after doing what should we do this Brahma Jignasa? So there is a difference of view. Parantu Samadhi Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatyanantarinamiti Shankaraha Dharmashastraadhenanantarinamiti Ramanujaha Tatra Anyatarasya Samichinatva Nirnayaya Mayayam Vicharaha Vidhiyate. So this is what he says. So according to Shankara, so after gaining this sadhana chatushtayam, should you engage in Brahma Jignasa? So this vichara, Brahma vicharaha kartavyaha. Okay. So this vichara should be done after gaining the sadhana chatushtaya is what Shankara mentions in his commentary, Shankara Bhashya. So atha refers to sadhana chatushtaya sampatti anantaryam. Whereas for Ramanuja, so he says, so Dharmashastraadhenam essentially is Puramimamsadhenam. Puramimamsadhenam essentially boils down to Karmajnana. Okay? So Karmajnana anantaryam. So after knowing so how karma has to be done and studying this Dharmashastras, okay, as well as the Puramimamsa. So then you should do. This is what Ramanuja says. Anyatarasya samichinatva nirnayaya. In order to decide which is appropriate, I am going to continue with my vichara. Tathahi. So karmajnanam vina brahmanaha jnatum ashakyatvad brahma jignasuna tavat karmajnanaya purvamimamsadhenam kartavyamiti kim Ramanujasya ashayah kim va Ajnatakarmanah purushasya brahma jignasorapi brahma jnane nasti adhikaraha iti brahma jnanadhikara siddhyartham karma jnanaya purvamimamsadhenam kartavyamiti yadva purvamimamsanyāyanameva uttaramimamsāyam darshanāt tadavakamaya purvamimamsadhenam kartavyam uttaramimamsadhenam chikirshuna iti athava कर्मभिः शुद्धचित्तस्यैव ब्रह्ममीमांसायाम् अधिकारः इति कृत्वा कर्मकरणार्थं कर्मज्ञानाय पूर्वमीमांसाध्ययनं कर्तव्यं ब्रह्ममीमांसुना इति. In fact, so he presents four different possibilities. Why is it that Ramanuja advocates after karmajnana you should engage in Brahma Vichara? There are four possibilities. One is, he says, without having a solid ground in Puramimamsa, you cannot gain Uttaramimamsa, the meanings. Okay, so as a prerequisite, should you do Puramimamsa Adhenam, or this is the first thing. So this is generally referred to in the Shastra technical term as Upajivya Upajivaka Bhava. Upajivya Upajivaka means that which is dependent upon. Okay, so Upajivaka is one who is dependent upon somebody. Okay, Upajivya is on whom he is dependent. Okay, so is there this kind of relation, and therefore he recommends this. Or the second class is Adhikari Siddhyartham. See, Adhikara essentially refers to qualification. So without doing undergraduate course, you cannot register yourself for postgraduate course. So it is something like that. So without having Upanayanam, you cannot go for Vedadhyanam. So that kind of a thing. So Adhikara Bhava. So in order to make yourself qualified for this, should you do this? Or the third is, see, Yadva Purvamimamsānyāyanāmeva Uttaramimamsāyam Darshanāt. See, so what he is saying is there are certain principles which are discussed in the Purvamimamsa Shastra. So he said that these Nyayas will be extremely useful in trying to understand the Uttaramimamsa, and therefore he recommends. Nyaya is principles. So Nyaya. Okay.
And they are easier to understand. Can be answered by itself. Some principles there are useful.
These principles will be applied there. So without knowing that, it may be difficult. Okay. So it is in this sense he trying to recommend this. Nyaya nameva. See, there are certain principles. Apachcheda Nyaya. So there are various Nyayas. See? So Virodhadikarana Nyaya. They will be employed. See. So these are all certain Nyayas which will be cited in Uttaramimamsa, and therefore does he recommend this. This is the third possibility. And the fourth possibility, कर्मभिः शुद्धचित्तस्यैव ब्रह्ममीमांसायाम् अधिकारः इति कृत्वा कर्मकरणार्थं कर्मज्ञानाय पूर्वमीमांसाध्ययनम्. See, this is the fourth possibility, he says. So the fourth possibility, karmabhihi shuddhachittasya. So this is something, even in Viveka Chudamani we have this. Chittasya shuddhaye karma natu vastu upalabdhaye. But the first quarter is very important now. Chittasya shuddhaye karma. So this karmanusthana is essential for cleansing your mind. So chittasya shuddhaye karma. See, if you have to perform karma, you need to know how to perform. If you need to know how to perform, then you have to study this shastra which discusses this. And therefore, in order to gain this chitta shuddhi, which is essential for gaining this brahmajnana, so this purvamimamsa adhyanam is also essential. So is it along these lines? So he is trying to
gain
chitta shuddhi. To gain chitta shuddhi, see, chitta shuddhi is gained by karma, but to know how to perform karma, see,
both agree. Both schools agree that
both schools agree. Both schools. No doubt about it. Both schools agree. Chitta shuddhi. Both schools agree. So now he is refuting. Okay. Nadyaha karma jnana brahma jnanayoho upajivya upajivaka bhava bhavat. So this is not essential for understanding what is stated in Uttara Mimamsa. Upajivya upajivaka bhava is not there. Okay, so the first proposition is discarded. So he is giving now example. See, the example is okay. Why is it not moving? Okay. Nahi ayivunu ityadi माहेश्वर सूत्र ज्ञानं विना अण् इत्यादि प्रत्याहार ज्ञानाभाववत् कर्म ज्ञानं विना ब्रह्म ज्ञानाभावः इति वक्तुं न शक्यते. वै ज्योतिष्ठो he says ज्योतिष्ठोम पौण्डरीक वाजपेयादि कर्म ज्ञान विधुराणामपि ब्रह्म ज्ञान सत्वात्. I won't look. So these are the sutras, you know, Maheshwara sutras. See, without knowing this, you will not know what is An. So An is a pratyahara. So like Ach is a pratyahara. So An means A, I, Bu. Okay? Ak, A, I, Bu, Rul. So for knowing this, so you need to know the sutras. So what does this mnemonic mean? In order to know that, we need to know the sutras. So there is no such dependency between Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa like this. And that's what he says. Jyotishtoma Paundarika Vajapeyadi Karmajnana Vidhuranamapi. Vidhura means those who do not have any knowledge of this or those who have not performed this. Vidhuranamapi Brahmajnana Sattvat. They have gained Brahmajnana. They have studied Vedanta Shastra and gained. So those who have not performed any of these yagas, they have also gained, and therefore this Purva Mimamsa Adhyanam and Uttara Mimamsa Adhyanam are connected. So as Upajivya Upajivaka, so this is gone. Nadvitiyaha. Then he says the second proposition. So the second proposition is Adhikari Adhikari Bhava. So for that he says Brahmajnana Karmajnanayoho Adhikari Adhikaraka Bhava Bhavat. Karmajnana Vidhuranamapi Bahunam Brahmajnane Adhikritanam Sattvat. Upanitasyaiva Dvijasya Vivahe Adhikaraha itivat Karmajnanaha eva Brahmajnanaadhikaraha iti Kvapya Darshanat. See? So Upanitasyaiva, so for a person who has undergone this Upanayanam, for him only Vivahe Adhikaraha he is saying, of course, it is a long way. Nowadays, I mean, they are done together on the same day. But no, it is not like that. See, since Upanayanam has not been done till he is 28, so on the day of Vivaha, so first 2 hours are for Upanayanam. Next 2 hours are for Vivaha.
Upanayanam it's okay, yeah. We just have that also.
So this Adhikari, Adhikaritva Siddhyartham, so is it like that? So that is also not there. See, there is nothing like that. That's what he is saying. Okay. Na tritiyaha. In fact, there is
no example.
There is no statement in the Shastra which says that. So only after doing, so after all, you are saying, so the Hatha Shabda indicates this. Where is the pramana? There is no pramana in the Shruti. That is why he is trying to logically analyze now. If you are stating this, why are you stating this?
This interpretation, qualification, and this is a qualification, that is not correct. But is it clear there are only these 4 interpretations?
These are the 4. See, the point is.
These are the.
No, I'll tell you.
No,
that's what I'm saying. See, it is like this. This Ramaraya is trying to understand what could be the thought process of Ramanuja. So, in my understanding, these are the 4 possibilities. That is what he is trying to list. So, there may be something else which one can think of.
Suppose he debunks. That doesn't mean there is anything. It could be something else. Ramanuja says, what is the purpose? Why is
No, that's what then. No. So, then Ramanujiyas have to come up with something else. So, these are the standard things. So, which one can think of.
Some books have these arguments.
Not some books. See, in general, so when there is a dependency, you may say it has to be done. In the Adhikara Bhava, you may say. This is all in Shastra tradition. So, whatever you have. So, otherwise, you cannot think of. One is, you insist that you study this, you do this course, then come to my course. You say, why? Because it is a prerequisite. Or the institution may say, unless you have this degree, we cannot give you admission in this. So, this is Adhikara Bhava. So, now the third possibility he is trying to discuss. So, some nyayas, okay, some principles which may be useful, and therefore are you recommending. So, for that he says, correct, help. So, further he says, na tritiyaha tathatve anvayavyatireka anumanadi padarthanam tarkashastre drishtanam eva vedanta shastrepi darshanena tajnanartham tarkashastrasyaप्यध्येयत्वेन अथशब्दस्य तर्कशास्त्राध्ययनानन्तर्यम् अर्थः इत्यपि वक्तव्यत्वात् न च इष्टापत्तिः. This is some interesting thing that he is saying. See, so when you say that these are the principles which may be useful, then I would say something else is far more useful. See, for instance, knowing logic will be extremely useful for debating, for understanding, for convincing yourself and all that. So, you should rather recommend Tarka Shastra rather than, so there will be only 1 or 2 principles here and there which may be useful, cited from Vimamsa. But throughout there is a serious argument which goes on. So, for training yourself in that argument, so you better read Tarka Shastra and then come to this. This is what you could have recommended. Okay, that is what he is saying as far as Nyaya is concerned. You can, Naja Ishtapati, no, that is also true. So, I will say both, Nyaya Shastra and Tarka Shastra, suppose you were to say. Tarka Shastra is essential. Then he says, Vinapi Tarka Shastra, Vinapi Tarkadi Shastrantara Adhyenam.
Unam Vedanta Shastra Adhyenam Labdha Brahmajnananam Sattvat.
See. In fact, he says, this is actually counter example. See. So, there are so many people who have not really engaged themselves in serious Tarka Shastra, but they have got this. Okay? So, that you cannot say. This is something which is desirable only. Moreover,
so the Tarka Shastra is not prerequisite.
Tarka Shastram. See, if you were to recommend Mimamsa Shastra as a matter of principles which will be useful, then I will say it is more important to know Tarka Shastra. So, suppose you say, no, that is true, I will change my stand. There are so many people who have not studied Tarka Shastra and also gone this. See, after all, Tarka Shastra.
I will say firstly, if you say Tarka Shastra is more important, I will say no, there are so many people who without studying Tarka Shastra.
Yeah.
So, it is
No, that's what I am saying. So, in my view, neither Tarka Shastra is something which is essential, nor Mimamsa Shastra is essential. If one were to compare this, then I would say this Tarka Shastra is far more useful than this. So, this is
logic is important. So, if you are studying chemistry, you study logic first.
No, that's what I am just saying. No, that is what I am saying. So, if you were to say this, then also it doesn't work. Point is, logic is something which is known. One need not undergo this study in that discipline in order to be logical. So, So it is something which is given, and that is the point that we are saying. So you cannot say that this is something which is prerequisite. You should have studied.
Suppose if somebody says Tarkam is more important, I will say there are people who have not studied Tarkam and yet got Brahmajnana, so it is not required. So now what are you saying next? You are saying some principles of Nyaya are used, then Tarka is more important. But now I am saying no, but there are these people who have not. Your own counterexample I will throw against you. There are these people who got Brahmajnana but who have not studied Tarka.
Correct.
So that means your thing that Tarka is more important is not true. So
yes.
maybe still some principles of Nyaya are true.
No. See, Nyaya principles are, if you were to argue, so your argument is...
Some principles of Nyaya will be useful.
No, he said Mimamsa principles. I would say, so if you were to argue along those lines, it is far more important to know these principles than those principles.
No, that you are saying that I am saying no. Because there are people who...
Correct. So the point is, neither of them is essential.
I am saying there are some principles of Nyaya which should be used later. You are saying...
I am not saying. I am only saying, so this is Ramanuja's Paksha or Shankara Paksha?
Correct.
Which Paksha are you talking?
No, Ramanuja says some principles of Nyaya will be useful.
Okay.
He says principles of Mimamsa are useful.
Okay.
So now what is...
Now the point is, if one were to base one's argument on these principles, then it is far better to argue for some other principles which will be far more useful. This is one statement.
That is not clear. That statement is not clear. That it is far better to...
No, correct. So it is very simple, no?
Because Nyaya is much more used in Vedanta than
Nyaya is not. There are people who don't know Nyaya who have become Brahmajnani. So
that is what we'll ultimately say.
I am saying that, man, if it is an argument between us two, and let's say on the side of Rama.
So then why do you say Mimamsa is better than?
No, that's your debunk. No, you debunk it. What is your...
No, that is done.
Why do you support Mimamsa or Nyaya?
I am not supporting Mimamsa. Your argument for debunking the third clause is not sound. That is what I am saying. You are saying, if had it been the case that some principles of Karmajnana are used, Mimamsa are used,
very simple.
Then
So then people studying without Mimamsa also have become Brahmajnani.
Exactly.
That is the logical thing. That is the logical thing. There is no need to bring in this Nyaya at all.
No, that is.
Give me an example, no? That will debunk.
That is done. That is done.
That is the important thing.
That is done.
This is sidetracking on some other lines. You are taking the argument. I never said so. If the interpretation is maybe some principles of Mimamsa are used, then you give examples here.
No, this is just two level argument. So that is anyway done. This is one more thing which is wrong. This is what is being pointed out. As a matter of see, if you were to talk about principles, then this is something which is better you could have said, but you need not say. The point is, so what is more useful? So suppose I want to do this course. So you say, instead of doing this course, you better do that course. That will be far more useful, I will say. But if you do not want to do it, is fine. But both are not essential, that is a different argument. That is what is being said.
A is not essential. That is what you have to debunk 3. That is, principles of Mimamsa are not essential. You don't have to get in some Nyayas and there is some...
No, we will not.
Suddenly you are saying that is more important. Why? It is not clear.
No.
And hence that is debunked, and hence this was, you first debunk this thing. Then you can say even more generally something. The point is the principles of Mimamsa may be useful. That is one possibility.
See, principles, principles of Mimamsa will be useful is fine. There is no question of denying that. Let me tell you. See, principles of Mimamsa will be cited. So, for knowing these principles, one need not undergo a rigorous course on Mimamsa, which is discussing all this Karma Jnana. So, this has to be very clear. So, what is being said is, these principles of Mimamsa will be useful. So, nobody can deny that, because some Mimamsa Nyaya will be cited somewhere in studying this.
What is the third point which is now being said as not correct? So, what is the third possibility of Ramanuja?
Third possibility is Etesham Nyayanam. So, can this be Ramanuja's thought process? See, it is very simple. The analysis can be thought this way. After all, Ramanuja has said Karma Jnana. So, which way he would have thought? From the viewpoint of Nyayas? If one were to say from the viewpoint of Nyayas, so then Nyayas are far more useful. We could have thought of this tarka principles also. If one were to talk about principles alone, on the ground of principles, then you could have thought about this also. Now I am just thinking, if these principles, even these principles, without these principles, those have gone. Very simple. See, far more important principles, even without this, if they have gone, obviously without those principles, there are people who have got.
That is the correct answer.
No, that is what, it just comes.
This for the extra nyaya, tarka. The tarka is irrelevant point. The thing is some.
Okay, so you just keep your view. Doesn't matter. No, it is not irrelevant. You have to think along properly. Anyway, so this is very nice argument. There is absolutely no doubt about it. But when you dismiss something which will be far more useful, then obviously the other less useful is anyway dismissed.
No,
okay.
It doesn't be proved. Somebody claim doesn't mean anything.
It's not a question of claim. It is proved.
Where? That it is more useful. Where is it proved?
No, you did not know how. I mean, see, someone who has studied this will know. That's why I am just saying.
No, where the proof should be given. No, at least it should say, if you know this, you will be able to understand the proof that something is more useful than something. That somebody is claiming, no, tarka is more useful. Maybe not.
No, not somebody is claiming.
Who is claiming this?
No.
See, Kanadam.
Vedanta Parampara is claiming like that.
So Kanadam Panani.
It will be more useful to learn Vedanta.
Okay.
Whole Vedanta tradition is telling
Here,
like
tarka jnana as compared to. No, tarka is more useful than what?
Mimamsa.
Kanadam Paniniyancha Sarvashastropakarakam. Okay, not Mimamsa. So Kanadam refers to this logic, Nyaya Shastra.
Kanada.
Kanadena Kritam. Kanadam Paniniyancha Sarvashastropakarakam. So that is most essential for studying any Shastra.
In both schools,
all of them. So this is a general principle. Okay. So now, this is done. Okay. Then he says, Prabalatara Tarkadi Shastrantara Vasana Pi Vasana Pishachi Grasa Vashat Bahuvaram Sudha Vedanta Shravananam Api Alabdha Brahmajnananancha Bahunam Sattvat. See, so now he is saying, so in fact, so there is another sloka, I think somewhere in Viveka Subramani, which says, see, so if you have the Shastra Vasana, too much of Shastra Vasana will also take you away. That is what he is saying. Prabalatara Tarkadi Shastrantara Vasana Pishachi Grasaha. See, in fact, if you are too much so attached to that, then you may not even enter. In fact, there was a great Shastri. Yeah. No, there is something else. So this what he is saying is this is like a Pishachak Grasa. In fact, one of the great scholars of recent times, he was there about 20 years back when I was taking some exams in Tenali. He was there, so he was sharing with my father. See, he was saying, "Oh Shastrigale, I have lost almost all my lifetime. Okay, so without engaging myself seriously in Vedanta and engaging in Nyaya Shastra." So that's what he is saying. Prabalatara Tarkadi Shastrantara Vasana Pishachi Grasa Pashat. Because of that, Bahuvaram Shuddha Vedanta Shravananam Api Alabdha Brahmajnananancha Bahunam Sattvat. See, because of this Vasana, so they are not able to gain what is being stated there. So if you are too much into one line of thinking, then the other line of thinking will not get into your mind. So that is what he is trying to say. Bahunam Sattvat. Veda Vedangadhyenadeva Arthavabodha Sahitat Apata Pratipanna Brahmajnanasya Vedanta Shastradhyenam Sukaramiti Kritva Brahmajijnasoho Veda Vedangadhyenasya Artha Sahitasya Avashyakasya Ubhaya Sampratipannatvat. Okay. So what he is saying is, so Ubhaya Sampratipanna. So both of us have agreed. So what is it? Anything that is useful, if you say, I would say this Veda, Vedanga Adhyenam. So Vedanga has certain elements. Okay. So this is something which is essential, and therefore one can agree upon this. Okay. So what is useful when one says this is what is Sukaram? Okay, the one who has done Veda, the one who has done all these studies. So for him it will be far more useful, easier to enter into this discipline of study. Okay, so
Veda Vedana idu vandruma ivno solrunga.
No, it will not. Then he says na chaturtha karmaभिः शुद्धचित्त एव ब्रह्म जिज्ञासति तमेतं वेदानुवचनेन ब्राह्मणा विदिशन्ति यज्ञेन दानेन तपसा नाशकेन इति श्रुतेः न ब्रह्मजिज्ञासुना पूर्वमीमांसाध्ययनं कर्तव्यम्. पूर्वमीमांसाध्ययनात् पूर्वमेव तस्य ब्रह्मजिज्ञासायाः सत्वात् न च पूर्वमीमांसाध्ययनं विना न कर्मज्ञानं विना न कर्माचरणम्. Then
कर्माचरणं विना न चित्तशुद्धिः चित्तशुद्धिं विना न ब्रह्मजिज्ञासा इति ब्रह्मजिज्ञासायाः कथं उदयः पूर्वमीमांसाध्ययनरहितस्येति वाच्यम्.
अधीतस्वाध्यायेन मीमांसाशास्त्रवासनाशून्येनापि परोपदिष्टविधया कृतनिष्कामकर्मणा चित्तशुद्धेः लभ्यमानत्वात् न ह्यनधीतवेदस्य अनधीतवेदस्यैव अनधीतमीमांसाशास्त्रस्य ज्योतिष्टोमादौ नास्त्यधिकारः इति वक्तुं शक्यते. So now he is saying that your argument that for gaining chitta shuddhi you have to do mimamsa shastra adhyanam will not hold water. So how does he say that? See, in fact this line of argument goes like this. See, this chitta shuddhi, so according to him chitta shuddhi, see both schools agree chitta shuddhi is essential, but gaining chitta shuddhi is only through shastra adhyanam, mimamsa adhyanam, see, is not acceptable to us. This is what we are saying. So he says that in order to do karma anusthana properly, you have to know how to perform karma. So in order to know how to perform karma, you have to study the Mimamsa Shastra, which discusses in great detail and then brings in various nyayas and so on and so forth. So here what he says is this last part is fine. So Chitta Shuddhi is essential for this Brahma Mimamsa Vichara is acceptable. But the other part, and in fact this Chitta Shuddhi is gained by performing karma. So properly performing karma, and of course Nishkama Karma Anusthana. But this proper performance of karma is not something which forces you to do the Shastra Adhyanam. So if somebody performs, my grandfather performed, so I look at the way he performs, or some other guru, he teaches me how to perform properly, so and I perform the karma. So this performance of karma is essential for Chitta Shuddhi is fine, but this performance of karma makes you necessarily undergo this rigorous training in Mimamsa is something which is not acceptable. So that is what he is trying to point out here. See,
if you want to learn how to cook, somebody can teach you. You don't have to teach
exactly. So that is what he is saying. See, so adhita swadhyayena mimamsa shastra vasana shunyenapi. In fact, he puts it very forcefully. He need not even have vasana. He need not have studied any of the sutras in the Purva Mimamsa. Shunyenapi paropadishta vidhaya. See, so somebody guides him. Okay. Krita nishkama karmana chitta shuddhehe labhyamanatvat. See, anadhita vedan. So that is what he is trying to say. Anadhita mimamsa shastrasya jyotishtomado nastyadhikaraha iti vaktum na shakyate. So just so then finally he says bhavatu va purvamimamsa shastradhyena shurnyasya karmasu anadhikaraha. So now he is granting his own argument. See, so it is like this. So when he says this bhavatuva means this is a certain style, even assuming, okay, bhavatuva, let it be so, okay, Puramimamsadhyena shunyasya karmasu anadhikaraha. Karmasu, for performing, anadhikaraha means he doesn't become eligible. Anadhikaraha. Puramimamsadhyenasya karmasu anadhik. So what would he have in his mind when he says this? See, karmasu anadhikaraha. So one, if in fact this is only granting, even granting I can argue some other way to dismiss you. That is what he means. But one line of thinking could be, see, for the first person to perform, see how to perform. So he has to understand. So for him it was essential. If not for you, for the other person, anyway this Shastra was useful. So it is in this line, I mean, he may think of Natavat asmakam kvapi kshatihi. So we have absolutely no problem. Okay. What is the next sentence?
येन केनापि अदृष्टादिना हेतुना जातायां ब्रह्मजिज्ञासायां पुरुषेण वेदान्तशास्त्राध्ययनमेव कर्तव्यं मीमांसाध्ययनं तस्य दर्शितविधया जिज्ञासां प्रत्येव
हेतुत्वात् न हि नीरे लब्धे सति नीरलाभाय कूपः खननीयः तस्मात् कर्मजिज्ञासुनैव मीमांसाशास्त्रम् अध्येतव्यं ब्रह्मजिज्ञासुना तु वेदान्तशास्त्रम् अध्येतव्यं यथा शब्दसाधुत्वजिज्ञासुना शब्दानुशासनं पदार्थजिज्ञासुना तर्कशास्त्रं तद्वत्. So what he is saying is, okay, so let us assume for some reason, even if you assume that, now let me put the argument in a slightly different way. For some reason, say adrishta vidhina means I do not know. See, some people, so they are gifted in quickly gaining, okay, so in the music, okay, some people are gifted in quickly learning mathematics. So there are certain gifts which are sort of given to some people, something like that. So he is saying kena pyadrishta vidhina hetuna, for which I have no explanation. Why is this person having all the sadhana chatushtaya right at the beginning? I do not know. For some reason, if he has, and because of that, I mean, he has deep interest in knowing only Vedanta Shastra. So in no other Shastra his mind engages. So in no other discipline he wants to do that. So now, so what will you say about this person? Though he has Brahma Jignasa, so Adato Brahma Jignasa, this Brahma Vichara cannot be done by this person. So unless he does this Karma Vichara, so will he ever argue that? That is what he is saying. Adrishta Vidhina Hetuna Jatayam Brahma Jignasayam. He has a great desire to know what this Vedanta speaks of. So Vedanta Shastrameva Adhyetavyam. So you cannot just say no, you should only do this Mimamsa Shastra and then only come to this. Okay, so that is not Bhavatuva.
Assuming?
Bhavatuva without doing Puramimamsa Adhyenam, you cannot do karma, even if you assume so. So now consider this case. So what will you say? So according to your interpretation, so Brahma Vidyasa Jata, Brahma Vicharah Kartavyaha.
The fourth point we are trying to.
The fourth point itself, he is just saying, so if you, even if for Chitta Shuddhi, if it were to be done, so for some reason, but I have no objection to that. May you talk about that. There is no problem. So only if one either guided by this person or that person who has gained by that paramparaya, even if you say, there is no problem. But come to this case. So someone has Brahma Jignasa right at the beginning. So for him, what will you say? So he has to do only Brahma Jignasa. Okay, Brahma Jignasa is there, Brahma Vicharah Kartavyaha. So then you cannot say Natu Mimam Sadhyenam Tasya Darishita Vidhaya Jignasam Pratyeva Hetutvat. After all, your argument is, so when there is Chitta Shuddhi, Brahma Jignasa will come. When Brahma Jignasa has come, so he has to directly go into Vichara. Okay, Vedanta Vichara. So then he is giving example. Nahi Nire Labdhe Sati Niralabhaya Kupah Khananiyaha. You already have water. See, he quoted a certain Shruti in between. If you go back, see, Tametam Vedanu Vachanena Brahmana Vividishanti in the fourth clause. I quoted, no? Anashakena. See, Tametam Vedanu Vachanena Brahmana Vividishanti. Vividishanti means Vejitum Ichanti. Brahmanaha vividishanti. Kam imam atmanam vividishanti. How? Yajnena, dhanena, tapasa. So one of the means is yajna. So vividishanti means vejitum icchanti. So it is essentially vividisha and jijnasa means one and the same. Vejitum ichcha, here jnatum ichcha. So this, by performing these yajnas, this vividisha arises. And vividisha arises, he has to engage himself in vichara. So even as per this mantra, whichever you cited, so this vividisha is already there for him. So by some means, I mean, he is Purva Janma Sukrita, whatever it is. So once there is vividisha, he has to only engage himself in Vedanta vichara. He need not go back to do karma vichara. So atha, when you try to impose Vedanta vichara kartavyaha, atha, only after doing karma vichara, if you impose this, then it is improper. So that is what he is trying to say. Nahi nire labdhe sati niralabhaya kupah khananiyaha tasmat. Finally he says karma jijnasunaiva mimamsa shastra madhyetavyam. So those who are deeply desirous of knowing karma shastra, they have to do that adhyanam. As far as Vedanta shastra is concerned, if he has a deep desire to know Brahma jijnasuna tu Vedanta shastram adhyetavyam. Neerana water. No. If you already have water, there is no point in digging well for water. Neere labdhe, you already got water.
Source of water is there.
Source of water is there. So neera labhaya, in order to get water, so you need not dig well. It is just like saying this, vividisha. Already you have got vividisha. So now you do this vichara, is saying this. So after all, this yajna is supposed to lead you to vividisha. You already got vividisha. So it is for the six. And he says, yatha shabda sadhutva jijnasuna shabdanusasanam padartha jijnasuna tarka shastram tadvat. So if one is interested in knowing Vyakarana, he has to study Vyakarana. So if one is interested in Nyaya Shastra, he has to study Nyaya Shastra. So too, so those who have already Brahma Jijnasa, they have to straight away get into Vedanta Shastra Adhyanam. So not by going through this Mimamsa Shastra Adhyanam Anantaram Brahma Vicharaha. So this is not right. I think we will stop here. Om Sarve Visukhinas Santu Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Magaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavetu. Om